Hello, Tim Gileo, Friday the 20th of September 2019. Now you know the rest of the story. Let's start with Trudeau and his blackface. That tells you the degree that even the media is looking to turn on this guy. So, I mean, hopefully that's a sign of things to come. We still got to wait for the October surprise, and I'm hoping it's a good one. There's enough stuff setting up that it should be a pretty good October surprise. Other than that, let's quit beating on each other. Everybody calm down a little bit and wait. The election's happening. Doesn't matter. It's going to happen regardless. So wait for the October surprise. That's always the fun one. That's when everybody starts bringing out their dirt on everybody a week or 10 days before the election. Hey, that's the best time to hit them with the real dirt. So let's get away from politics. I'm not really that interested in politics. Right? What happens? I mean, politics is important because it determines where we're going. But I've made a projection going out almost 2 years now where things are going to be, and they seem to be falling in line so far. So I'm pleased because that means the program's falling in line. So where we're at with the field service management system, or the industry, or the government. Of course, the government hasn't responded yet, which is expectation. The industry, it's Friday, so I'll send them another note to CAP today, Canadian Association of Petroleum Producers. That'll be directed to Tamsin Henry, which is the in-house counsel, and to A. Jeffrey Tonkin, which is he's the chairman of the board there and the CEO of Birchcliff. So we'll send them their little complimentary note, right? Keep them apprised of stuff, and what we do is we kind of slip in the field service management program. It's sending them these weekly reminders. What it does, whoever's reading it, it's a training. We're training them. They don't know it, but we're slowly training them, slowly manipulating them into seeing things that are good for the industry. Because what's best for the industry? Safety, the environmental efficiencies, the improved profits, reduction in foreign ownership. These are all good things. And the reduction in foreign ownership, the reason we brought that up is because yesterday we had Andrew Scheer come out with a policy on that, where the policy is going to be there, the end of corporate welfare. The CEO has the caption or headline says the CEOs, administrators, and shareholders are going to have to do without the money of the citizens, or something like that. I'm just ad-libbing there, but the article, I read a little bit about it. Basically, it identifies what we've identified for them, the foreign ownership. I mean, you got to remember, we've been sending these programs now to the MPs and the MLAs, and for over a year. So in some cases, a year and a half. They've been getting it as long as the industry's been getting it. The original field service management system they've been getting. So it allows us to identify in more detail different aspects of it, because we get to bring it to them a little piece at a time. Now to the industry, it's probably, you're the biggest piss off in the world. I probably am. Right? Hey, here I am. Come get me, because I'm not going to stop. I mean, I didn't steal from you. You stole from me. And that brings us to the second question of the day. One of the questions that came up in this conversation I had with this consultant, right before we get back to what his real issues were, he said, there's a good chance that they're just going to keep taking everything you've ever done, and you're not going to make anything. And I said, well, it's been a 17-year nightmare now where I haven't made anything. I said, but if I increase safety and increase efficiency, if that's all our group accomplishes for our millions of dollars, right, in our almost 2 decades of free labor, then you know what, we've accomplished more than anybody else in the industry accomplished. We've accomplished more than any CEO, any shareholder's ever accomplished. Right? These guys accomplished, clerical administrative safety. You accomplished nothing. Right? You can't even run efficiently. Right? Reason being is that you're too busy. You're too busy trying to hide your corruption. And did I say that? Oh my God! They're not all corrupt. Just 99% of them. Don't worry about it. Again, I'm just having fun with you guys. There is a good percentage of them corrupt. The collusion between the government and the corruption and the abdication, and we've gone through how this works and how it affects just even this program. So I mean, we're at a position in Canada where we need a total, we need to clean house. So we kind of got to look at what's going on in the U.S. And one of the reasons people say, well, why do you send all the stuff to the U.S. too? Why do you send it to the White House? Well, I kind of like their policies. I kind of like the way they want to clean up the deep state, drain the swamp, and and eventually, hopefully, get rid of the damn central bankers so we quit charging usury for printing money that we already own. So the problem with politicians, and is they keep forgetting that's our money. Right? It's not your money. You're not giving away your money. You're giving away my money. And you guys heard me get a little annoyed about that before. But let's get back to the main topic, the main conversation I had today, which deals with the field service management system. So one of the problems is how, we've been dealing with the question from the watch party, how we're going to affect changes. And one of the things you have to do is you have to go back to the business basics. So I get a phone call many, many years ago, back in 2003 actually, but I get a phone call, so that's quite a few years ago. And a consultant, or actually the company I was working for, the consultant phoned him, and he had an issue. He was ordered to do something. He didn't want to do it. He was looking for some I guess backup of some way or another. So my boss said, Tim, can you call him? So I did. Me and the gentleman used to work together anyhow, so I gave him a call, and I said, absolutely don't do that without it in writing. I said, so what, I need a job. What happens if they fire me? I said, you were looking for a job when you got this one. People keep forgetting that. You were looking for a damn job when you got the one you got. So, you're letting people browbeat you because, that's just an excuse to be lazy, right? You're part of the problem. You're not part of the damn solution. Somebody asks you to do something that you know is wrong, like as in these clerks to the court. They knew this was wrong, right? The Crown knew this was wrong. The Attorney General, Paletti, that sent me this crap, he knew it was wrong. But he had Lametti, his boss, order what? He forgot. He was looking for a damn job. He probably wasn't. It was probably the first job he ever had out of high school. Well, he'd call it university, but I don't think he learned a lot. He learned how to cheat. He learned how to lie. That's not a good thing to teach people. So he went to a liberal university. The reality is, aside from me making fun of them, the reality is, if you're not willing to stand up on your own 2 feet, and I'm noticing that right now. I have friends, Tim, I'd really like to follow you, but man, if they find out I'm following you, I'll get fired. I hear this daily from people. I got most of my consultants that call me, they don't know that, their bosses don't know that they're talking to me. They've been involved with this program for whatever, some a couple of years, some the whole 17 years. A lot of these people have been around. They watch this thing. They try to adapt it into their management style, and it generally makes them a little bit more efficient. One of the things so we discussed here, we got talking about his journal, how he wasn't using his journal as effectively as he could, because he's got a new group of people. One of the problems that he had with the group of people is he sees the people in power in position of management aren't efficient. They have no, they're not good managers, not good people managers. And I said, well, did you give them the skill set? No. I said, well, nobody. I said, they move people up into positions either because they're their buddy, right, or they buddied up with them, or they're the last man standing. So when they come back to work after a long protracted downturn, they're the last guy to come back. So we'll give you the promotion. But the problem is, along the way, you might have taught them how to do the job, or the job below the job, but as soon as you put people in a position of management, we don't teach people how to manage people, and that's where we start to lose our efficiencies, because now, some people are just naturally born managers, and some people aren't. So when we don't teach them how to manage, we don't give them the skill set to how to manage. I said, well, take that same journal. I said, go to town. I said, go to the printing shop. I said, and buy a whole crap load of them little pocketbooks. I said, with pens, and give everybody one, and have a safety meeting and explain how this works. This is the one if you want to be safe. If everybody knows everybody else is writing everything down, guess what? You're going to be pretty safe. Then I went to a phone call. So back to this phone call where this gentleman had called. He said, I'm getting pressure to do something that's got a good chance of killing people and burning down a rig and a little environmental damage and all sorts of good stuff, little well blowouts. And I said, so get in writing. I said, you have to protect yourself. All right, they're ordering you to do it. You said no. They're intimidating you, which is, that's common. It's a common business practice for every year nowadays. I said, so just get it in writing. Well, they put it in writing. The rig burned up, and guess what? They were in and out of court for years. This guy never had to pay anything. The company did. The owners of the company did. It dissolved the company, and it was nobody got hurt. Luckily, just burnt up a brand new rig. But that was only, I think, it was only $24 million hit there. But they were trying to save. They were trying to save about I think on that rig. If he had done and they hadn't burnt it up, they would have saved themselves in the neighborhood of $25,000. $24 million, $25,000. That's the problem when you allow people to make stupid decisions. That's the decision that's coming out of the corner office. Well, those are made all the time. So my consultant my old consultant that I was when I was still in business, that I was talking to today. He got a phone call, and he said he was on the phone for 2 hours, and this was above his boss. Right? This is the boss above his boss. And he wants them to do some stuff that it's not really safety orientated, but it's a step backwards in efficiency, and he's frustrated by it because it's looking at, he knows that the capital costs are going to go up, and they've been running carrying charges from one part of the business to another to try to keep their businesses or their capital costs in line. And he knows that at the end of this, at some point, it's like anything else, you push it down the road and it piles up, and at some point you're going to have to pay for everything out of one pocket. So he knows he's coming to that point. He's getting frustrated. There's a little bit of nerves there. I mean, he's a family man, and it's like all the rest of you people. The reason you abdicate and you do what you're told, right, is because it's hey, you got bills to pay just like everybody else. You got families to feed. I mean, you can't all be like me, be willing to go totally broke just to help your fellow man. Right? If you were, we'd all be saints. And I'm the only saint I can see in this room. Actually, I'm the only person in the room, so I'm still joking with you guys. Anyhow, so we get back to how could we, how do we deal with this? Well, common business practice, when I started out even as a youngster in business, one of the first things I was taught to do was, when you had a meeting with somebody, and this goes back to we're seeing this in live action. It's a proper business procedure. Whenever you have a meeting with somebody, whoever generally is the junior person is expected to transpose that meeting, right? So whether you recorded it or you're just transposing it out of memory. So a lot of times it was just the gist of what we were talking about. Then you take that transposed document and you send it to the person. It's really easy nowadays. I mean, we got computers, we got all sorts of crap. So you transpose the conversation, the communication, the direction that the person wants you to go in. You send that to him. And for his approval, is this what you wanted me to do? So that so we're clear. What happens? It gives him an opportunity. It gives him two opportunities. If if he woke up and he was in a bad mood and just it gives him a chance to now think about it. Oh, maybe we shouldn't do that. Okay, so think back. Did I really tell you to do that? Because the other side of the coin is as soon as something goes south, west, or east, right? Maybe even north. As soon as it doesn't work, guess who? They're going to come blame you. They're coming to blame you. And they always do. Why? Because they're in a position of power above you. So one of the best lessons I ever had is I had a consultant order us to do something that even though we had done it for 10 years straight, we knew what we do. He was new to it. He decided that he was the expert. Therefore, he was going to dictate that we were going to do it his way from now on. The way we've been doing it for 10 years, not good enough. We're going to do it my way. So within about 8 hours, we spent $320,000 that shouldn't have been spent, but $320,000. We were sitting there with right on the top of a cap on a high pressure formation with water in the well bore. We don't have the annular pressure. We don't have the weight in the annulus to keep the well from blowing in on us if we were to crack through that cap. We got no material or no weight material. He insists we're running a gyp gel system. It doesn't matter how it works, but he insists that his method of mixing to gain viscous fluid, right, would work, and we knew it wouldn't. You can't mix into gypsum water with your gel sets because your gel will not yield. You have to yield it into fresh water, just so you know. So he was too lazy to get a water truck out for which would have amounted to probably $1,000, $650 back then maybe. He didn't want to get a water truck out for a load of fresh water. So he decided he was gonna tell us how to do our job. So we went about doing exactly what he told. By 3:30 in the morning, we'd mixed everything on location with him. Just mix more. Now on top of it, now we got to get vac trucks out to suck out the tanks. We got to dump these things. They're nothing but you got nothing but dehydrated powders in the bottom. I mean, you got to remember most of in a gyp gel system, just about all gyp as in gypsum, or when you're a gel system, gel as in clays. So they are just different types of clays. So that gives you your viscosity and your weight to be able to pick up the cuttings out of your wellbore, in case you want to know. But what ends up happening is this guy decided he was going to spend, $320,000, which is all that we had on location for mud. Mudman comes out in the morning, and I'm getting off shift, and the mudman I was drilling then, and the mudman says to me, he says, Tim, come here. I'm sitting in the truck. He says, what's going on? So I told him, he says, you've been doing this for 10 years. You know better than that. I said, so did the tool push. I said, he tried to argue with him. So did my relief push. Right? He was my cross driller. I said, he tried arguing with him. We all tried arguing with him. Right? Didn't matter. He said, he's in there writing up right now, saying he's putting it all on you. I said, well, I'll go talk to him. So I went and had a conversation with him, and the conversation started out. I'm a pretty nice guy. Started out with I wasn't going to break his legs right away. I was going to wait for a week. No, not quite, but I should have made him buy me drinks later. But the conversation started out this way. With him, he said, Tim, nothing personal. He said, but I make a lot more money than you do. In those days, he made about 2.5 times what I did. He said, so I make a lot more money than you. I said, and I get the last say anyhow. I write the report. So it's always going to be the way I say. So you know what? If you don't make too many waves here, he said, I'll make it look like you're a good guy. It's just, you had a bad night. Now, of course, you'd think that my boss would go along with that, but my boss, same thing. He wants to feed his family. He doesn't want to cause any waves. So he didn't go along with that. So I got to eat that one. So the day of this conversation, I tried to get it through my consultant. I said, well, here's the thing. I said, just transpose it, even the best you can, to your recollection. What he wants you to do, because you disagree with it anyhow, but you're going to do it because he's told you to do it. He's not just your boss. He's the boss above your boss. I said, so what's going to happen? I said, you just put an offer on a house. You just had, you got 2 new babies. I mean, and you're being put in a position where you're being set up. He said, I mean, you may not see it, but you've just told me yourself that you have capital cost allowances that are being pushed off from one well to another well to another well. So these overtures are going to hit one well, this well right here, and this is the only thing that they've changed. And you've already said it's slowing up and costing you more money. When they're in a point right now, they're starting to bitch about how much diesel you're using to drill these wells. It's a true story. So I mean, hopefully he doesn't get mad at me because I haven't said who he is or what company it is. But so I mean, I said the problem with that. I said if you quickly transpose everything this conversation had to say, and then you send it back to him, he has a right now. Right, within 30 days, if he disputes it, right. That's kind of the standard, right? It actually holds up in court. If you dispute it within 30 days, then that's not true. But when I have a conversation with somebody and I write something to them, I said, okay, this is our conversation. Do you agree or don't you agree? If you disagree or want to make changes to it, you can make changes, send it back to me. And if I disagree, we can go back and forth. But if it's of an inconsequential outcome, it's not effective. Now, his problem is that he doesn't want to rock the boat or stick his head up too high right now because, again, nobody knows where we're going to be after this election. The companies are always having issues. I mean, they're still planning to continue moving forward. I mean, that's what you do in business. Even to the day you hand the keys over to the bailiff, I tell you what, you continue moving forward in business. And that's kind of where they're at. So he's, I told him, I said again, that's the best way to protect yourself. But you don't do it as if you're snarky. I said, you just simply say, okay, to the best of my recollection, this is what, because the conversation went on for so long, this is what you want me to do. Is that correct? Or did or am I misreading you? Now what happens is you don't have to tell him what he's done. What you've done is you've told him what he's told you. You send it to him. Email is really quick nowadays. He looks at that, and you can phone him and say, hey, I sent this thing here because I want to make sure I got this right. So can you read it and get back to me? Yeah, okay, I'll read it after lunch. So the guy reads it and goes back and, did I really say that? Well, do I really want to do that? It gives the person that made the decision sitting in the corner office a chance to revisit their decision, which a lot of times might have been actually made in the moment of heat. He's getting pressure from his bosses to make it cheaper, faster, quicker, right? Which is the most common thing. And so that's where we're at. When they start doing these things, start making these wild changes to try to find efficiencies in operations, sometimes they work, a lot of times they don't. A lot of times they end up costing a great deal of money, in which case somebody has to pay the price. So does he want to pay the price? I mean, the guy upstairs doesn't want to pay the price. So it's kind of where you're at. It's a way to protect yourself, but it's also a way to keep everybody honest. So there's 2 things that we're bringing forward from the field service management system that, there's a lot. The industry actually knows this. We've given the industry records of this. We write them about this all the time, but so the power of the paper and pen is your little notepad. Now, you can make it that simple. You can get rid of all the rest of the crap and just put it on a little notepad. You already have rules and regulations made up. You already have safety procedures in place. They can all stay, that's fine. But instead of inundating people with a million safety plans that everybody just turns a blind eye to because it's just, they're overwhelmed with it. Right? They're not learning anything from it anymore. That was the whole idea behind that ticket stuff, putting out those tickets. When I asked Brent how much he remember, he doesn't remember a damn thing about anything. Right? He's not going to. And it really wasn't there for him anyhow. It's clerical. It's administrative. It's a way of saying, well, you signed here, you knew this. It's getting to the point where it's never going to hold up in court. It's just become, it's too redundant, right? People aren't it's just not, the system's pretty much come to an end. So we fix it, right? Which is what we're doing now. Go back and simplify it and turn it into a real safety system where people want to do it. And what's the best way to make people do it? When you empower them. Well, that power, that paper and pen is a pretty powerful thing. I mean, so that's the first thing we do. Now people aren't going to the workers aren't going to be told to do something that's untowards, unsafe, or environmentally unfriendly, are they? Because now we have a name of people that are in a chain of command that we can go back on. The upper management, they're not going to start telling their field management to start doing things. And if they do, they're going to get a copy sent back to them. And a lot of times, I mean, that was normal business practice for most of history. The way you transpose your conversations, and one of the places you see it today playing out is the Comey. The former head of the FBI in the United States. So what you're seeing with Comey is Comey's meeting with Trump, and after the meeting he sat in his limousine and he transposed the meeting. Well, it wasn't that he transposed the meeting, because that would have been a normal part of his business acumen to do so. It's what he transposed on the meeting that, again, because he never sent a copy of that transposed meeting back to the source, back to the person he had the meeting with. So without doing that, then it's just hearsay. So when you're in a collective group of people, say at your safety meeting, and you want to have everybody writes it in their book, right? Then as you go through the day, people are very leery of making changes to what was written in the book, because everybody's got a copy of it. So that's kind of how we deal with the logs and the journals, and people get used to it pretty soon. At some point, if they're keeping journals, not only do they end up with a historical account of the industry and what they did to get out of different situations, that as they move up through the industry, right, and they move up into different positions of power, they carry this with them, and now they have a reference. They've created their own reference, right? So if a guy like me disappears, well, they still know how we did it because they wrote it down. You understand? That's theirs. As long as they don't get too many divorces and lose all their stuff. I've been through that, so we kind of know how that works. So that's where we're at with that one. The other one that we're talking about again, we're getting back to transposing your business meetings, right, or your conversations, sending them back, now you've created a paper trail. It gives the people that on the one side, it gives them an opportunity to take a look at what they said, right, what they asked of you. Now, if that used to be universal, so which means you would have an email chain nowadays, or a chain of command. So when people pick up the phone, you'd be always leery when somebody picks up the phone in business and asks you to do something. Like when your boss picks up the phone and wants to talk to you for 2-3 hours and try to convince you to do this or this. That, you should always be leery of that. I mean, generally, a email suffice to tell you to do something. That way, if you have an issue, you've created a paper trail, and that's kind of what you want to do. That's what accountability is all about: creating this paper trail, so that when something does go south, this guy can't hide, and it's no longer your word against his word, or he said, she said. And that's where we have issues in our industry. Remember, we talked about that in earlier ones, the he said, she said stuff. So that's kind of where we're at today, right? Tried to keep it a little light and airy today. She's Friday, no shave Friday. Anyhow, have fun. I got to go help a buddy out today. So you guys all take care. Have a good weekend. I'll try to get another one out this weekend. If you like this information, you can like and share and subscribe. If you hit the bell so you know when we put out another one. We appreciate your support. If you could please sign the petition, right? Sign the petition. Get the again, that's the only way we're going to move this oil and gas industry and these governments. Even though I can see some new governments, and they seem to be coming our way, or governments in waiting that are from the looks of some of their policies are starting to see things our way. That's a good idea, right? It's good for us. It's good for the environment. It's good for people. It's good for the business. So again, if you like it, we need your support, right? So if you want to, on the GoFundMe page, if you want to fund us, we appreciate it. It's the only way we're gonna be able to continue to eat and keep the lights on, right? I mean, they're not going to give us any work, that. Not what we're doing this. So the 21st, hopefully by the 22nd of October, we're or a little bit sooner than that, we're starting to be in conversation with these guys. I imagine that they're going to spend early next week, if Trudeau's fortunes keep going, deciding which one of their liberal or progressive consultants are directors are no longer required. So I think we're going to see some changes up there. It's about time. I mean, this is the pipelines are our goal. You can pretty much see that's going to come, right? The thing is, we can tighten this up. We can make the environmental. We can make every human being that works in the industry an environmental steward. Most people are pretty good at it. I mean, we work out in the bush, but now we can give them the actual tools where they can keep people accountable and keep people's feet to the fire. And we do a pretty damn good job already, whether you believe it or not. I mean, these videos that are coming out from Alberta and coming out from the oil and gas industry they're pretty good, right? And as you see, we got our new federal government coming in, because I'm pretty confident that the Conservatives is going to win, and they're all for industry, right? And that's good, right? They're all for us as Canadians moving forward, at least from what I can see. I don't buy into the rhetoric and the other crap. As people know, I like to argue a little bit. But you guys have a safe weekend. And if I do talk to you again, if you can help us out, But definitely, if you work in the industry, whether you're a worker, you're a business owner, we can get back into all the legal crap. I'm trying to stay away from that today. I want to leave everybody nice and light and airy. Get your workers, give your workers their books. Try to do the same thing within your own business structures. You start doing these things yourself. They're basic, simple business tools. Now what happens is you empower these people when they move up into positions. You're providing them with the skill sets they need to learn how to manage themselves and manage their business, and manage your business, and manage the people below them. So you guys go ahead and do those things. Incorporate them. You start incorporating it now. It saves us having to get you to incorporate it later on, because you're gonna have no choice. Right? I mean, we're going through the world's going to go through some changes here. So we got to keep it simplified, slick, and we got to make it work, right? This complicated crap we're doing now isn't doing us any good. For the oil and gas industry, it's going to be pretty nice to know where every bloody truck sitting in the bush is that didn't get sold off to Saudi Arabia or America for 10 cents on the dollar. So there's still some out there. I mean, there's one right there. But if you don't know it's there, it doesn't do you any good. So let's, again, like this, like us. If you don't like us, don't like us, right? Either way, share, have a good one. I got to quickly write my little note to the industry. It's going to be about the same topic. I got to keep them on the same page. So you guys have a good one, and have a good weekend. Play safe, guys.